Hello and welcome to the Dominican Republic and 2019. How exciting. Last night we were doing the predictions for 2019, and I was going to channel a little bit about how to use these eclipses to our best use, as well as some about climate change and just some spiritual advice for 2019 in general. And so I'm going to have my eyes closed. I may peek every once in a while. You'll see me come through instead of my guide for a second, but then I'll go back in. So let's get started. All right. You may hear some background noise because we're outside, but I thought it would be nicer than inside. So, all right. So I'm just going to go into channel and we're going to talk a little bit about climate change, a little bit about how to use the eclipses to your best use, and a little about spiritual growth. So one moment. There are many things to know about climate change. And in this, we do not want to seem alarmist, but we also cannot simply say, oh, everything is fine. There will continue to be these hurricanes and fires and such, and you may see weird or unusual spots of drought that are also an effect of the climate change, where there has not necessarily been drought for many, many years. You may find that although we do not foresee in 2019 these maps, these scary maps that have been produced with the East Coast and the West Coast gone, we will predict that there will be quite a bit of flooding in 2019, although we would say the flooding will come and recede. The shorelines you may find do inch up, but we do not see the dramatic predictions that have been made by those maps. Now, obviously, the maps were not predicted to 2019 specifically, and so we do not find this unusual or mean that those predictions are way off track. We do see a receding or receding of the coastline and the incoming of the coast, but we would see that more towards 2027. And again, it will be not catastrophic all in one day. This is not the big flood, this will be inch by inch by inch, and there will be time for corrective measures if they are taken. But we have found that the human race does not always do what is difficult until it is catastrophic. And so we will see how that goes. The fires have created a line of fresh new growth, or they will create a line of fresh new growth. And although catastrophic to the people that have lived there, environmentally, much of the forestation was not as productive in oxygen carbon dioxide exchange, and so they're actually some of these fires may bring new fresh growth that within 20 years will be quite a welcome addition to this oxygen carbon dioxide exchange. Although again, this is in no way saying that the suffering that was caused by the fires, not only this year, but really in the past 5 to 10 years, they've been at an exponential rate of growth. It is not to say that there was some karmic reason for these fires, but when you are looking to how do we see the positive, that will be one positive that many of us here may not even see, but our children and our children's children will see. The hurricanes are a destructive force along with tornadoes, and we feel that Tornado Alley will shift by a few hundred miles. And so where you found tornadoes not common, they will become more common. There will be less in the traditional line of fire, and that will switch up to a few hundred miles, but as little as 50. But you will see this overall shift of the major tornado areas, and the hurricanes we feel will continue to intensify. We would say that if you look at maybe the late 70s, early 80s numbers, there could be a threefold increase of those numbers by the time we get into the mid to late 2020s. So we would say this, that preparation, building in a way that can withstand, and really looking at if building or rebuilding on the coast makes sense given the incrementally stronger hurricanes that we see coming up. Being that this one lives in a coastal, well, it is not a village necessarily, but a coastal city in Virginia Beach, we would say that there is a lot of protection there. But as you get into the later 2020s, we would see that the Outer Banks is not creating as much of a break. And so even some of the areas that have been sheltered before may not have as much shelter. We do not wish to focus all on the negative. When these storms are coming, when these odd patterns are occurring, there are energetic shifts as well. And so if you can take time to, if you are in a fire-prone area after you've gotten to safety, of course, if you can take time to inwardly look at what can I burn through within my life, what can I break down, how can I use this inner fire as fuel for change? Look at the metaphors, and you may find that while we'll start with fires. Fires transform. Fires create energy out of something that is of a different energy. And so you have wood, which is alive and has an energy, but then it becomes the fuel for the fire, which then breaks down into coals and charcoal, which then become a fertilizer of sorts. And so if we can look at taking our own dried wood, our own dead wood, so to speak, during this time of fires, and do meditations to clear, you may find that because the energy is there in the world, you can access that and more speedily or more readily burn through what is no longer working for you. If we take the tornado energy, sometimes we are stuck in our life, and we can take that tornado energy, and again, this is not saying to stay in the tornado zone, but if there are tornadoes going on in the world, you can tap into that and have a controlled chaos where you say, I know things are going to be turned upside down, but I'm ready, and I'm ready to make that change, and direct that vortex of energy to the parts in your life that you want to see change. Hurricane as well. You can use that force. Hurricanes are traditionally associated with water, rain, water, and water and rain or rain is an analogy for our spirit, for our intuition, for our emotion. And so if you are struggling with processing through an emotion, work on that during a hurricane. If you are feeling stuck in your intuitive, work with that during a hurricane. So again, we are not saying to be in the line of the hurricane, the tornado, or the fires. We are saying that when this comes into your consciousness and the consciousness of your environment, use that in meditation or in some spiritual practice for your benefit. So we would love to say things are going to get better, but unless there are major changes, you can see this climate change and the results continuing. So what about the vortexes? Not vortexes, the eclipses. What about the eclipses? You can actually think of them as a vortex. We have passed through and are passing through the solar eclipse, where the sun gets eclipsed, or in the shadow, so to speak, of the moon. The moon is our emotions, our psychic ability. The sun is our common sense. So when we see when something is eclipsed, such as the sun is eclipsed, it is not as powerful. And so how do we use this? If we are in a place in our life where our brain has been telling us, no, you can't, oh, you should worry, oh, you should do this or that, when your brain is overactive, solar eclipse is a wonderful time to tap into the intuitive and see what's going on without the brain interfering. Later in the month, this is January, later in the month of 2019, we will be having a lunar eclipse. During this time, the lunar, the intuitive, the emotional is eclipsed, it is blocked. And so the solar and the earth are more prominent. So if we have our common sense and our earthly needs more prominent, this is a time when we can get through getting things done where emotionally we were unable to do it. Let us take an example. Let us say that you have had a loss. Maybe someone passed away, and you have to get through that closet or that will or that estate stuff, and the emotions have just been overtaking you. Use that lunar eclipse, because you will not have, it does not mean you will not have an emotion. It's not going to make you stop grieving, but your emotions will be lessened so that you can get work done. We would say, though, you do not need to wait for an eclipse, no matter what these internet promises are. Every breath is an opportunity to take a shift in consciousness. Every breath is an opportunity to leave behind something that no longer serves you. Every breath is an opportunity to expand your heart with love instead of fear. The eclipses may make it easier. They may bring the opportunity into our consciousness. How many internet posts or internet articles have you seen on the eclipses? But we would say this, that the strength and the will and the aptitude is within you. You do not need an eclipse to actualize these changes that you wish to make. Yet, as we have explained, eclipses are quite handy to use. Spiritually speaking, 2019 brings an unusual opportunity. Again, you have this opportunity all the time, but the energy of 2019, like the eclipses, will make it easier. It is an opportunity to forego that which drains your energy. It is an opportunity to release a view of life that no longer serves you. It is an opportunity to gain wisdom and spiritual knowledge on a level that is unusually high, unusually strong. 2019 brings us a vibration of self-sacrifice. And we would ask you to be wary of that. Self-sacrifice is not being of service in a way that you may think, because when one is sacrificing the self, you lose the connection of your own vibration to a situation. And so you then become a pawn rather than a player, in the sense of when you come to a situation fully aware, fully empowered, fully there, fully recharged, fully able to honor your own needs while also attending to the needs of others. You are fully present. And in that fully presence, you bring your presence. And in that, you can affect change in a much higher rate of success, because you can consciously be mindful of your energy and what you are bringing. When we are self-sacrificing, we are not thinking of ourselves, we are thinking of the other, and so we are more connecting to the energy that is already dysfunctional, rather than connecting to your heart and your core that already has the growth. So why don't we share ourselves instead of sacrifice ourselves? Many of you that are listening to this have been working long and hard on your spiritual self. What a gift you could be. Spiritual study, education, deep searching is the vibration that you will be assisted with this year. You have an opportunity to become a light bearer. Do not hide your light in order to fit in. Do not hide your light in order to shade someone else's eyes. Your light is what will make a real change in this world. Your light is what brings us hope. Your light is a gift from God or Spirit or Allah, whatever you want to call a divine energy or source. Your light is a gift from the divine source. It is a gift that allows you to be a co-creator with the divine source. And so be mindful, pay attention. How are you vibrating? What are you contributing? Be a blessing in this world. You already are a blessing in this world. Now just be who you already are. We send you love and light, and we hope that you utilize this energy in 2019 to the highest of its vibration, to grow spiritually and to shine your light bright. Blessings. Thank you, guys.